up, we have a WLS versus a Turbo. You called it, Ven. But I don't know.
WLS versus Turbo. Well, I don't actually have no idea how this matchup plays out. I think that I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. They might come down to mana. Like, I feel like WLS, like Warlock Warrior, is able to put out so much pressure that maybe the enhancement Shaman heals won't be enough. But I guess we'll have to see. I don't know who the targeted choice is going to be for Tony Jr. and Losa. It's not a matchup I've ever seen before, but I maybe it'll go to dampening. I have no idea.
I personally do think it's going to go to dampening. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything or give it any merit, but I feel like in dampening, the WLS does have the advantage. I feel like the off-feeling of the enhancement Shaman as it gets less and less, the consistent pressure of this WLS will reign supreme. But who knows, man? Who knows? Tony from the Bronx's team has proven me wrong many times. Double Warrior is going to duel off here. The double shockwave on the Lockout TKO and Absturge coming out from Losa. Looks like this Turbo wants to be offensive.
Yeah, right away they're pushing in. Right, pardon me, Absturge actually taking a little bit of damage now, down to 54% HP at the moment. The Ironbark going out onto Tony Jr. and Super T's actually getting swapped to right away by Smexxin. Smexxin doing a significant amount of damage onto him, trying to use that dive of the sword to parry Super T's bash, and I think he actually got it. So well done by Smexxin parrying Super T's bash there. Tony Jr. under a lot of pressure. Super T's line of sighting right now, has that Nature's Vigil up, needs to empower his HOTS, but at the same time, Absturge is taking a lot of damage, using that gateway, getting away, but right away Losa reconnects to him. Losa's recklessness is going to be fading, so Absturge not going to be taking quite as much damage, but Absturge having a really hard time actually topping himself off, finally able to get behind the pillar, get off some casts. I think he actually faked Chef Tony's shock there, so well done by him, seeing that he was coming in to get that, and he's going to stabilize at the moment.
For now, man, Absturge actually has 2 links and a trinket left available to him, as well as the Ascendant. So, I mean, the trades are very efficient so far in his favor. But there's the Shockwave at 55% health onto Absturge, dipping lower and lower as Losa and Tony Jr. are going to be connecting. Tony Jr. are going to catch that Ironbark from Super T's, keeping him offensive, but he's also going to Barkskin as they're swapping over a bit of pressure onto him. Super T's still pushed in. They really just want to get on top of Absturge this whole game, it would seem. Looks like they're just going to be racing him down into the ground, but Lockout TKO does have that Demon Soul up, so he is going to be punishing this Turbo very shortly, but the bash on the Absturge out of that is going to force him down lower and lower. He nearly got into execution range there as well, and he's still not using a link. He's holding onto it for dear life. There's the Stormbolt onto Super T's as well. The double shockwave going out onto Smexxin and onto Absturge is going to finally force the first link.
Yeah, Absturge is getting trucked right now by Losa and Tony Jr., and it's not looking like he's actually able to stabilize himself. He's getting purged up over and over and over. Finally, his gateway is going to come off cooldown in a couple seconds. Hopefully, he's able to get away and finally get some cast on himself. He desperately needs it. Smexxin rotting, Lockout also rotting at the moment. He just doesn't have the globals to heal up. He's down to 25% HP, 20% HP. Rallying Cry coming up from Smexxin. He still has 1 Spirit Link available if Absturge needs it, being a little bit greedy there. I guess he knew the Rallying Cry was incoming, able to get off some cast with his Ascendants, but he is caught into that full bash. He does have Trinket if he needs it, deciding not to Trinket that. Losa at the same time, down to 20% HP. Super T's getting swapped to using the Ironbark as well as the Barkskin. So both teams forcing so many cooldowns. That is the recklessness coming out of Smexxin, who is still on the back of Tony Jr. at the moment. The triple Shadow Fury coming in from Lockout TKO, but Super T's doing a good job throwing out those roots on the Lockout, as well as Smexxin. Absturge just getting trained down still, has that Spirit Walker's Grace up. He's going to be able to get off some casts. So another one of his big cooldowns, but mana is a huge issue. This isn't even into dampening like we were saying, and already he's down to 25% mana with 2 minutes to go until dampening even kicks in. Super T's getting storm bolted there. Losa taking a lot of damage. Currently a second Spirit Link coming out from Absturge, and Absturge is completely tapped. All he has left is his Trinket, but Trinket's not going to necessarily help him heal, so it's going to be really hard to catch himself up. Trinketing that Shockwave into the DR Bash, 20% HP, 38% HP. Absturge's getting a few instant heals off onto himself, but I think this might be the end for him. He needs to get away, but Losa and Tony just on his back. Absturge's finally getting away. The Healing Surge coming out. He gets the Healing Surge, catches a huge amount of HP. Super T's under pressure, has that Vigil up right now, and needs to make sure he can keep the Losa and Tony Jr.'s HP out. That is the Ironbark out on a Tony Jr. as well as the Barskin on himself. So Lockout actually has his Demon Soul coming up in 18 seconds, but is Abster's going to last that long? I don't know. Down to 38% HP, caught into that full fear at the moment. Tony Jr. using that Shamanistic Rage. Smexxin rotting down at the same time as well. The Battlemaster Stoneform coming out from Absterge, trying to prevent as much incoming damage as possible. Gets the gateway off. Is he going to be able to get a cast off? He needs it. Finally, Healing Surge coming out, but that is the Demon Soul coming out from Lockout TKO. Super Tease has no Barskin. 32% HP. This could be it for Super Tease. Tony Jr. needs to help him. Needs to get some heals off. The Safeguard coming out from Losa onto him. Absterge caught into that full bash. Smexxin actually taking a little bit of damage. He has that Rage Regeneration coming up in 5 seconds. That should be enough for him to live. But Super T's down to 20% HP. Rallying Cry coming out right now. Super T's taking so much damage, fully loaded with those hots. He is able to get away, throwing out that Tranquility. He needs to get that out. Absterge down to 30% HP, only has 11% mana. Super T's mana not doing so great either. And this is the most pressure I've ever seen coming out from two teams without dampening kicking in. Super T's in bear form, has that Barskin pop, so he's going to be taking way less damage at the moment. Smexxin rotting down, use that Rage Regeneration to help Absterge. Absterge down to 19%. Another Spirit Link coming out from him. He does have another one available, so if they can hold on, this is Smexxin's Recklessness. Losa down to 20% HP. In execute range, this could be the end. Smexxin can finally get the execute on, and the Fear going out onto Super T's. Tony Jr., I believe, was able to tremor that for him, so it broke him out. Absterge completely tapped on mana at the moment. The heals coming out from Lockout. Smexxin and Lockout doing everything they can to help Absterge stabilize, but he's just having such a hard time getting out those heals with Tony Jr. and Losa on his back. The full bash going out on the Smexxin right now. He is taking a little bit of damage currently, but I don't know how long Absterge can hold on for.
I don't know either, man. The Ore Mastery coming out, but he's so low. The Shadow Fury from Lockout TKO trying to peel him up, but Recklessness from Losa onto Absterge. He's going to Trinket, catch the Rallying Cry as well. This is Ascendance as well, but with no mana, how much is going to help him? He does have another Link available to them, and Absterge is dipping lower and lower. He's going to gate away at 20% health here. He's still in execution range. Can he catch a heal before these guys connect? He needs to drop the Spirit Link right now. The Shockwave goes out, and he will go down, and Smexxin's backup Shaman are going to fall to the turbo here in game number 1. 8% dampening as well, but I'm going to be honest with you, dampening felt like it occurred as soon as the game
gates
started.
Open.
Yeah.
It's insta dampening.
Insta dampening. That was crazy. Absterge did last for quite a long time there, and there were some close calls on the TSG side. Maybe a different map might be the key to this team somehow taking a win.
Yeah, someone actually in chat said that Absterge forgot Water Shield for quite some time, but unfortunately for him, in order to survive, he has to use that Earth Shield on himself, and that's part of why Shamans get tunneled. They get punished so bad for being attacked, more so than any other healer, because their main way of getting mana is that Water Shield, and if they're getting attacked, they have to have Earth Shield, so their mana regeneration goes completely into the trash, and that's why tunneling down a Shaman is so effective.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch closely to Absterge's buffs, you'll see that he's swapping between the two. Whenever he's like in a lot of crap, he's like, okay, time to Earth Shield, and whenever he's taking a relative amount of damage, he will be in that Water Shield, trying to maintain as much mana as possible. But it's a tricky situation to be in, because if you get put into a Shockwave at, let's say, 40% healthier, that Earth Shield may be what allows you to live. You know, it's really nerve-wracking to watch these Restoration Shamans play, but they do it so very well. And it looks like Tony's team will be playing the same composition, but they will need just a few minutes here, so we're going to give them just a couple minutes to figure whatever it is they need to get figured out, and we'll be jumping into game number 2 very shortly here. But looking at this team, I mean, that Turbo looked pretty confident. And like and they are going to choose Tol'vir Arena. So with a map like Tol'vir Arena, it's going to be, I don't know, I feel like it's going to make the Turbo a bit more vulnerable to chase that Shaman around. But who knows? Who knows?
Maybe you think they'll have to overextend a little bit more. Maybe Super T's will have to push in more. Yeah, it's possible.
I mean, it's a much bigger map, and so like if they ever do need to disengage, it's going to be much harder for this Turbo to do so. But
I think the good thing is Absterge has a bigger pillar to work with, so if he actually gets to the other side of the pillar, it's going to be harder for Losa and Tony to reconnect when Smexxin spam hamstringing and shockwaving and stunning them. So the Windwalk totems are going to be a lot more effective because he's going to be able to get more distance.
Wait, there's something wrong with my microphone? People are saying it's muted?
It's not muted. It just gives a
Oh, it's because I get too close to it.
Okay. Both
That's
teams
my
are
fault.
ready, by the way.
All right, there we go. Here we go, guys. Tol'vir Arena, game number 2. Don't try to troll me. I know it's not muted. There's a big thing in front of me that tells me it's not muted. But here we go. We're going to jump into game number 2, which is going to be on Tol'vir Arena. Welcome to Tol'vir Arena. Oh, someone said that you should add a stack counter for dampening. There actually is one. It's going to be found at the very top of the screen here, where it says 0000. It's going to be right above that. So keep an eye out for that dampening tracker as the game goes longer and longer, so you guys can see just how much these healers have to heal through as the game goes on. But both teams playing the same compositions, WLS versus Turbo. On Tol'vir Arena now. They're going to switch back up. Both of these teams are very, very good, so I'm sure this WLS will be adapting accordingly to their first loss here. Losa running across the map. He's going to get charged up by Smexxin. Smexxin going to get rooted up by Supatees right away. And now Losa going to go ahead and shockwave both Absurge and Lockout TKO. And it looks like they're going to be going on Absurge once again. The Reckless is coming out from Losa. He's going to fear up Absurge so they can both connect. And Absurge is dipping down very low already, down to 50% out here. Smexxin trying to prevent some of that damage. Going to go ahead and intervene him. But now Smexxin dipping down so very low. It's going to force the defensive stance as well as the Rage regen. Now they're just going to swap it right back over onto Absurge, and this Turbo has all the momentum in the world right now.
Absolutely. Supatees' Nature's Vigil is going to fade soon. He's going to use the end of that to throw out that Tranquility and hopefully top off his team. Tony Jr. actually using his Sham as a Rage as well. Wants to prevent some of that incoming damage. Smexxin actually changed up his spec this game, I believe, and his Avatar. So he's going to have a little bit more bursty cooldowns, Recklessness, and Avatar up for Smexxin right now. And he's going to be able to throw out a lot of upfront pressure. Lockout TKO using that second Demon Soul as well. They want to keep this momentum rolling on the back of Supatees at the moment, who does have that bar skin up. But it's going to be fading very shortly. Supatees displacing away, actually going to be able to get away from Smexxin. But Losa and Tony Jr. are still taking so much damage. Absurge able to get across the entire map with that gateway. So this is already looking way better for Absurge. Although Smexxin and Absurge got hit pretty hard at the beginning, it's looking like Absurge is actually able to get away when he really needs to at the moment. So this is a much better start for them.
Looks like it, but the bash goes out onto Absurge right here, dipping down to 29% out there. That's going to force the rallying cry from Smexxin as well. Absurge still not out of the woods just yet, but Smexxin doing a great job peeling with the double shockwave, and then the triple Shadow Fury from Lockout TKO. But is it going to be enough to keep Absurge alive? It is going to force that Spirit Link out from him, but we are only just 2 minutes into this game, and it's already so intense. Smexxin going to go ahead and use that dive by the sword to prevent any peeling. I think the bash from Supatees is what he was trying to prevent, the Aura Mastery coming out from Absurge. He's going to get shockwaved on it. He's going to trinket right away into a fear now. They're not letting him get any cast off at all. The Tremor Totem going to come out, try to prevent his DPS from going into that fear as well, but Absurge is just getting trained from start to finish, and it's working for Tony from the Bronx so far. The Shadow Fury going out onto Supatees. Supatees forced to use that Bark Skin as well, but Absurge is just always in trouble. This Turbo Cleave is just putting the pressure onto him, and this WLS just can't peel this double melee off him.
Not at all, and there is the full bash onto Absurge. This could be the game. Safeguard coming out from Smexxin. The DR Shockwave coming in, 28%. Absurge does have one Spirit Link, keep in mind, so if he can get that off, he's going to be completely fine. Deciding not to use it at the moment, trying to fake some of those casts from Tony, or some of those interrupts from Losa and Tony Jr. Losa actually has his Recklessness up right now, so Absurge's going to be in a lot of trouble. The DR Shockwave coming in. He needs to get the link off. He does. Gets the link off. Smexxin has that Recklessness up right now. Supatees getting punished this game for being pushed in. Like you said, this is going to allow them a little bit of extra pressure. Tony Jr. and Losa going to have to overextend a little bit, so Supatees is going to be able to get targeted down if Tony Jr. and Losa want to be able to sit on the back of Absurge. So that is working in their favor. Smexxin using that avatar at the moment. Absurd is gating away, able to get some casts off, so he's going to top himself off, just running across the entire map. He knows Smexxin and Lockout not going to be in a lot of trouble. Losa using that dive of the sword to prevent some of that incoming damage from Smexxin, the full bash on the Smexxin. Losa reconnecting on the Absurd finally, as well as Tony Jr., so Absurd is going to be in a little bit of trouble, but Super Tease's mana isn't great. This match, actually, Absurd has the mana advantage on a Super Tease, but is it going to matter? 25% HP coming up from Absurd. He has no Spirit Links left. He's going to run away, get behind the pillar. He's going to be able to get those casts off and top himself off, and this is looking really good for this WLS.
It is. Absurge is utilizing that port quite well and getting those heals off, and pretty soon here he's going to have his links back. He's going to have his trinket back in just a few seconds here, and if this WLS can consistently stay alive like they are so far, they may just get an advantage here as dampening is creeping up on him. Absurge's going to trinket as soon as he gets it back up right away, as he's just getting dipped lower and lower. Losa, though, no one currently too low on Tony from the Bronx. They're trying to punish him now. The double shockwave on Losa and a Tony Jr. and Super T's at 28% mana may start to struggle here, as this is the Demon Soul coming out from Lockgod TKO. Absurd still at 70% health here. The double shockwave from Losa, but Super T's is in some trouble and he needs the line of sight. Absurge is the one who's also in some trouble. Both healers just taking so much damage. The haunts are connecting onto Losa as well. He's going to catch that nature swiftness from Super T's, but in the background, Absurge is still just trying to survive by the skin of his teeth. The DR Bash is going to force that rallying cry from Smexxin. Smexxin using that avatar, trying to punish the over-aggression of this turbo. The triple stun from Dota TKO, trying to give Absurge some breathing room, and it's going to force another Spirit Link out of Absurge just in the nick of time. Super T's forced to use that Iron Bark onto himself, but everyone on their team's just loaded, and Absurge is just going to go down from the heroic leap slam dunk of Losa's recklessness, and game number 2 is going to be taken from Tony from the Bronx on Smexxin's backup shaman's map choice. Woo! Alright.
Poor Absurge. Poor shamans.
Poor shamans.
They just want to live so bad, but they can't.
Yeah, I mean, this is a best of 5 series, guys, so that means Smexxin's backup shamans has to win 3 games in a row if they want to go to the finals.
Man.
Man, oh man, oh man. Alright.
I could see what you were talking about yesterday, though.
What?
Nothing.
Oh, wait, I don't... Okay. Dude, I have such bad ADD, I have no idea.
I'm not even gonna start it.
Uh-oh. Oh! You know what, Ben?
I'm just kidding, but seriously, both teams playing very well. It can be a very frustrating matchup for Absurge, I'm sure. He has no real way to get away from that team. If he didn't have the gateway, he'd really never get away, unfortunately.
Something else to note, guys, is that I also said my favorite comp to watch is WLS.
You can't take it back.
I'm not taking it back. Sorry if I just killed all of your ears right there. Let's see here. I'm asking them what map they want next. Turbo. Freaking dares, man. Alright, so, I mean, if you were Asper and you were looking at this bracket and you see Smexxin's backup shaman, the WLS, or Tony from the Bronx, who would you want to go to the finals? What are your orders?
Looking at the bracket right now?
Yeah.
Who would I want to go to the finals?
If you were Asper, Majidin and Full.
Oh, I don't think they care, to be honest.
Really? They lost to a WLS, though, earlier.
Yeah, maybe they don't want to fight the WLS. I know that's a comp that they said was really hard for them. I was actually pretty surprised they beat Sea-Doo's WLS. That was Sea-Doo, Chanimals, and...
Smexxin, I'd assume.
Yeah, Smexxin. So they already beat this team, but I think if WLS plays better, it's hard, so they probably are happy with what's going on right now, to be honest.
When I saw that WLS beat that Mage Boomkin Holy Paladin, they told me that that is the reason why they added CMG to their roster.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't want to face WLS, so I don't know. But I don't know even know if CMG is available tonight or what. But here we go. We are going to be jumping into game number 3. Yeah, game number 3. And it will be played out on Dalaran Sewers. Dalaran Sewers is a much smaller map. But maybe it will give the opportunity for the Warrior and the Lock to to really punish them, because there's not as many places to get away. I know that Sea-Doo has said before that Dalaran Sewers is his favorite map, and he plays a lot of WLS, so.
There you go.
There it is. We're going to go ahead and tweet Sea-Doo to see why Dalaran Sewers is good for WLS.
Are we actually?
No, I'm not.
I think it's just easier for the Lock and the Warrior to go to whoever they want, so they just have consistent pressure on anyone they need. And it's really hard for anyone to get away as well.
Yeah, that's true. It is really hard for people to get away. Wow, we're getting donations like crazy, dude. Hello? All right, guys, I need to shout out some of these donations as we just glitched the queue system. So now that we have a free few minutes, I am going to shout out a couple people who have donated and also subscribed. We did get a $25 donation from Mod Villain, and I believe it was actually an offline donation. And he didn't leave a note. He just Mod Villain. Thank you so much, man, for that donation. Every dollar we get goes directly towards future tournament prize pools. So thank you for keeping the dream alive. Free Wreckful donated $4.20. I can speak. And he said, second week of my hunger strike continues until Wreckful is free. Oh, goodness. I would eat something. And a $30.80 donation from 77 Perception. Keep it rolling, gents. You do great work. Thank you so much, everybody. And we are now, because of that donation, at an even $100. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really do appreciate it, everybody. And maybe it's fixed now? Nope. I don't think so. Not yet. Not just yet.
I don't know what this WLS can really do, unfortunately. It seems very hard for them.
Yeah, it seems really rough. I don't know. Aha! It worked. Every time you donate, you're paying for Asper's college fund in 9 years. In 9 years? He's not 10 years old. Alright, anyway, here we go. We're going to jump into Dalaran Sewers. Welcome to Dalaran Sewers. We have the Turbo versus the WLS, and so far the Turbo has just been dominating this WLS, but this WLS is quite a good one. I mean, Smexxin and Dota and Absterge are all renowned, like, very high-end players, you know? So, if they can pull it off, I don't know who else could. There it is. But Dalaran Sewers is a much smaller map. Maybe this will give an edge to the WLS dream. Who knows? The gates have opened, and here we go. I feel like Absterge is still going to be the kill target for this TSG. There's just not much this WLS can really do.
Yeah. This map's going to be even harder for Absterge to get away, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. WLS is going to be able to put out more pressure, but Absterge really has nowhere to go. Super T's already having these Barskin Safeguard coming out from Losa as well, but this is the Recklessness Bladestorm, as well as the Demon Soul coming out from Lockout, so they want to have that initial pressure, but Super T's going to be answering that with the Iron Bark, as well as the Nature's Vigil to empower his Hots, so he's going to be able to counteract some of that damage. Absterge, meanwhile, down to 50% HP. Losa, Tony Jr. both on his back, but that was the Ascendance coming out from Tony Jr. as well as the Recklessness coming out from Losa, so their damage is going to drop off a little bit. But Absterge down to 40% HP, not looking like he's going to have to Spirit Link, throwing up that Earth Shield onto himself, and at the moment he seems to be okay, but he needs to somehow get away from Tony and Losa, or it's not going to be able to top himself off really ever.
Yeah, the Shockwave is going to land on Absterge. It is only DR, but man, when you're that low, it's scary. He's still at 30% out here, and I think he actually got interrupted on, dipping down to execution range. That's going to force the Link as well as the Rallying Cry. A lot of buttons they didn't want to press the overlapping there, but Absterge is going to be okay because of it. But here we go. We are going to continue on to this game, and Absterge is going to be going in with just a Trinket, Link, and Ascendance, and he's getting just chunked by this Turbo. The Fear goes out onto Tony Jr. It looks like they're trying to get offensive onto him. The Shamanistic Rage being forced as well as also the Iron Bark onto Tony Jr. So maybe somehow this WLS can punish him for that, but everyone on Smexxin's backup Shaman is dipping lower and lower. Execution range coming out on Absterge. It's going to force the Link right before it, but he's not going to get the full effect of the Link as he was in a cyclone there, an offensive cyclone on Absurge. That's going to force the Ascendants as well. And Absurge is just completely out of buttons now. And this Turbo Cleave is just making it completely hopeless, it feels, for this WLS.
Yeah, WLS not really able to get too much rolling. I mean, Super Tease doesn't have his trinket, so they have that working in their favor. But the Nature's Vigil is up for him, so his HOTS are going to be powerful once again. Absurge still just completely on the back foot, and I feel like in order for this WLS to have enough pressure to win, Absurge needs to be in a position where he can be purging a lot, and it just doesn't seem like that's ever going to happen. Lockout TKO has that Demon Soul up right now, so maybe they can make something happen with that. The Nature's Vigil not going to be lined up by Super Tease. He's already used that, so he's not going to have that for this Demon Soul, but it doesn't look like anyone's taking really too much damage. The Iron Bark going out onto Losa at the moment. Absurge still just the target of choice for Losa. Losa actually has a Recklessness up right now, so he's going to be doing a lot of damage onto Absurge. And like you said, Absurge doesn't really have any more healing cooldowns left. Actually using that Stone form as well to prevent some of that incoming damage. But after that, he's really just running on fumes. He doesn't have anything left, and it's just so hard for him to get a cast off against a Warrior and an Enhancement Shaman. Trying to get away, gets bashed up on his Gateway. Losa reconnecting onto him right away. Smexxin trying to shut down Losa a little bit, throwing that fear out onto him. It's going to be immediately removed with that Zerker Rage, though, from Losa. And Absurge down to 16% HP. Battlemaster coming out from him. Cloudburst Totem coming out as well. And he's trying to get off some casts, but Tony just on his back, shocking him up. Actually shocked that heal. So Absurge finally eating that interrupt and able to get off some healing surges. So it's sort of a saving grace for him, able to get his HP up to around 70% HP. Velosa is going to be able to reconnect. The Bladestorm coming out from Smexxin at the moment, though. Super Tease once again has that Vigil up, so he's going to be able to prevent the spread damage with that empowered healing. And Absurge still has nothing left. The Spear Link going to be coming up for him in around 28 seconds, as well as his Trinket. But I don't know if that's going to be enough. Actually getting cloned up at the moment. Smexxin using that die by the sword, so Losa and Tony Jr. can't really get anything rolling onto him. He is relatively low at 50% HP at the moment. The Death Coil, though, going out onto Super Tease. He does Bark Skin that, so a little bit of a preemptive Bark Skin, I feel, coming out from Super Tease. It doesn't look like Smexxin and Lockout are really trying to do too much to him, so they might be able to capitalize on that small misplay from Super Tease, but it doesn't really look like it's actually the triple shockwave coming out from Smexxin. Well done by him, but he's down to 20% HP. Absurge needs to play catch up. He needs to get some heals off. The healing surge coming out fakes the interrupt there, so well done by him. But he gets shockwave on the next cast, and it's just so hard for him to get a cast off with these stuns and interrupts coming out from Los and Tony Jr. That is the rallying cry as well. Gets feared up on his Aura Mastery, down to 23% HP. Catches the heal on himself. I think that was a Riptide. But the rallying cry is going to fade, and another Spirit Link's going to come out, and they're just working through these cooldowns slowly but surely, and it's looking very good for Tony from the Bronx.
Yeah, I don't know how this WLS is going to come back from that. Absurge is desperately trying to just juke cast all day long. And, I mean, the fear on that Aura Mastery just prevented all catch-up opportunities from it, almost rendering it completely useless. Alosa catching that Iron Bark from Super Tease, and he's just sending them out just to prevent the damage at this point. Now Tony Jr. getting chunked down to 60% health here. The double shockwave on both of them. Shamanistic Rage coming out from Tony Jr. as well. Super Tease was put into that brief fear. But this is the Recklessness on to Absurge as he's caught into that full shockwave. The Cyclone on to Smexxin. Absurge is just in a 2v3 situation, and he will go down. Just ran out of buttons, man. Just ran out of buttons. And Tony from the Bronx are going to take a clean 3-0 victory against Smexxin's backup Shaman, and they will go to the finals. And in the finals, it would seem, we have We Love a Fountain versus Tony from the Bronx. There